the project funded. So the connection between all these different objects are very important, and as far as we heard the presentations at the conference, most of the talks were only talking about the results, mostly about publications and of course data, which is missing here in my slide, but there is much more concerning research information. So euroCRIS is a professional organization which tries to help people in building up research information systems covering all the information which I tried to describe here. And the important thing is that current research information systems, following the definition of euroCRIS, consists of two parts. The first part is the data model describing all the different entities and the relationships we just saw on the previous slide. And of course there has to be built some tools, some software to handle all this information, to enter it, to store it, to maintain it, and of course to present it to the user in very different ways. So the purpose should be clear by now of such why it is useful to have such a current research information system covering all these different types of data, because it assists you in recording the information during the whole research project. It assists you in reporting by using this data, and of course should support you in decision-making processes about where your university is heading concerning research strategy, for example, or if you're a funding agency, you just have to decide on future funding programs. And of course, everything you funded before should help you, and the results from the research already funded by you should somehow influence or go into the decision of future funding programs. So it's very many different cases and use cases where research information systems are currently involved at universities and funding organizations, and so you have a broad group of different, or you have many different user groups, let's call it this way, from political decision makers to the general public, which wants to access parts of the information stored in a current research information system, and of course most of the time in totally different ways of presenting the information. Well, what euroCRIS was developing now for, I think, around 12 years or so, is a format for documenting this research information. The format is called serif, Common European Research Information Format, and as you can see, it's just a different way of presenting those purple circles and the lines in between some slides ago. So these are just the core entities the serif data model is covering, and for all these entities there are rather detailed metadata schemas on how to describe these entities, and we have many different types of semantic relationships between all these different entities, so you really can make use of what's covered inside such a data warehouse. Let's call it data warehouse. So the serif data model consists of 3 layers. So at the top one is the conceptual layer. That's what I was already talking about. So it's the idea of which entities are important in the research workflow, like publications, persons, projects, funding programs. The next level would be the model layer, the logical level, where you really define all these different entities at the level of data attributes, for example, and you interconnect them. And the third level, the physical layer, helps you in really implementing such a database in software. So we are providing scripts for you to generate a database model for your own research information system, complying to the serif data model, and we are providing this for many different commercial database systems, and also, of course, for open source database systems.